Welcome to Use the Types episode 11, More Ginger. In the last video we looked at very basic HTML templating using Ginger. In this video we're going to look at more advanced stuff. So we're going to expand on our simple string key value pairs. And I've got the code from last video already set up so we can get started. In the usual location, we'll open up code. Here we are. Now, let's open up our template. Let's move this out of the way, stick it down there for now. Okay, so this is our template, and our context is just a hash map of text to text. What we're going to do is build on that and extend our context to use the gval type. And the gval type is defined in text.ginger, and this is a variant type which allows us to pass any kind, more or less, of value at runtime to the templating engine. And the critical thing about this is that the way render template is set up, we will not have to make any changes to the code. So to get started, we're going to need to take a new dependency in our Cabal file, and we're going to be depending on transformers, because this gval type, as you see here, depends on writer and other stuff. And this is how we encode source positions as well as accumulate text and then the underlying string type for the context. So we've added that to the Cabal file, and let's build the project, which will bring in that new dependency. Looks good. Now, our main.hs, which is this main entry point to our program, and template.hs are fairly interdependent via this context type right now. So trying to make the changes and fix them both up to use this new context type all in one go is a bit of a mouthful, so we'll just use GHCI instead of GHCID to sort of fix up the two source files independently of one another. So let's start GHCI, and everything looks fine so far. Now we're going to update our context, save it like that. We'll notice we've got a squiggly red line because writer is not available. In fact, if we reload just app.template, which is the name of the template module, it will complain about writer not being present. So we need to add an import. So control.monad.trans.writer, that comes from the transformers package. Save that. Squiggle goes away. That's great. Reload it, and now it compiles. And there you go. We didn't have to make any changes to render template. We just redefined the type of context. And easy render and other consumers of context just are fine with that. This is a very polymorphic function. Now we can remove unused imports from the source file, and the way I sometimes do this is by temporarily enabling the unused imports warning, which you can do using this pragma up here. You can pass options to the GHC compiler using this options GHC pragma, unused imports. If we save this and reload the module, it will tell us that the import of data hash map strict hash map is redundant. So we can remove that, save the file, reload. There we go, we've removed redundant code from the module. So now we're going to modify our main.hs file to work with this new context. So if we reload the whole app now, we'll get a bunch of compiler errors saying hashmap from .list here, its value, its type is not compatible with the gval. See, we're trying to pass a hash map of k0 list of char to something that expects a ginger gval with the run, source pos, the writer, text, etc. They're not compatible types. This point is actually fine to go back to using GHCID, since we're going to iterate rapidly over this source file. So it'll give us a whole bunch of error messages, including the same message we just looked at just then. There we go. So Jinja has a helper function, dict, which is used to construct a gval dictionary from a list, and we'll save that, see what happens. Got an error, can't find dict. That's because we haven't imported text.jinja. We'll do that. Look at that. We have a socket already in use error. So it compiled just fine, but the socket's already in use. So if you run into this problem, the easiest way to fix it is just to look at what stack processes you have running and kill them. What do we have here? See, I've got a stray process running which just kept this socket open. So we're just going to kill both of those, I think. Let's do them one at a time. 30507. 30507. Look at that. Oh, no, there's still one around there. There we go. 29796. There we go. No stack processes hanging around. So when we run ghcid, it should run our program and start listening on port 8000. Okay, let's open up the browser and see what we see at the info route. We'll see it's still working. It's still expanding that title placeholder to the string info. So we didn't have to do any changes apart from using the dict function instead of hashmap.fromList. Now let's try to do something more sophisticated. Let's put something else in this context. We'll call it items. And we want it to be a list of strings, multiple strings, a different type from a single scalar string. And this is what we'll do. We have 3 items in our list. Save that, see what happens. So we've got a bunch of errors. And this is because this tuple, this pair, is clearly not the same type as this one. You know, there's a list of strings. So this is where the tilde arrow operator, which is written like that, comes in. And this is the sort of make pair function in Jinja. So let's replace that and let's see what happens. So a slightly different error this time. It's because this happens sometimes. This is VS Code spewing error messages out to the terminal, which we don't care about. Basically what we need to do is give it a type hint that this is a list of texts. And we also need to import data.text text. Go back to our terminal. Sometimes you need to restart ghcid for it to pick up the changes. How are we doing now? Look at that! Success! We can refresh. Doesn't look any different because we're not using those items. So let's go back to our context. So we've introduced a name, items. Wow, that's really annoying, isn't it? I'll figure out how to fix that later. So we're going to go to the template and we're going to make use of that. So above this paragraph tag here, we're going to use this alternative Jinja syntax, which is braces with % signs. This is how you interpolate loops, iteration, and things like that. And you can use the for statement. So for item in items, and this is the name from the context, and you can terminate the for with end for, like that, and then you can reference the item within the loop. So we'll create an empty paragraph element, and inside that paragraph element we'll just have it interpolate the item. Save that, head back to our web page in the browser and refresh it. There we go. It's outputting the lines. Notice we didn't need to recompile the app. This template is picked up automatically. It's not, the template is not compiled. What else can we do? well, many things, but for now, let's just clean up. It turns out that we no longer need unordered containers in our Cabal file, so let's remove that. We're not using hash map. Let's see what happens when it tries to compile that. Okay, so we've got another redundant import, or actually incorrect import now because the module is not available, but we're not using any of it. So let's get rid of it, and there we go. All done. Refresh to make sure it's still working, and there's our app. We've got a single scalar being interpolated, and we've got a for loop iterating over a list. All done.